Welcome to the Man Shed Railroad, and today we're taking a look at a Digitrax decoder install into a Kato C44-9W locomotive. I picked up this Kato C44-9W locomotive from the Central Arkansas Train Show last year. It came equipped with a Digitrax DCC decoder, but it wasn't sound equipped. However, if you flip the locomotive over, you could tell that it was made to have sound. And my research said that SoundTraxx would completely fit the locomotive. However, if you're on a budget like me, you're going to stick with something more affordable, such as the SDXH167D sound decoder. This sound decoder came pre-configured with sounds and had 6 programmable functions. There was also a small 33 microfarad capacitor to keep the decoder alive should you encounter dirty tracks or something of that sort. I started this build by reviewing the parts of the decoder. I wanted to ensure that all of the parts were present. It came with a 9-pin wiring harness along with a separate speaker wiring harness. Having the ability to disconnect these wiring harnesses during installation is a time saver for sure. After ensuring the decoder wasn't physically damaged or missing any pieces, I began to disassemble the locomotive for installation. To remove this shell, all you have to do is grab the 2 sides of the shell and squeeze lightly, and then it just releases as you pull up. I then removed the non-sound Digitrax decoder. This decoder was being held in by non-conductive electrical tape. I then moved to disassembling the speaker grill on the bottom. Now, on this brand of Kato, there's 2 screws on the bottom next to the speaker grill. If you unscrew those screws like I did, it releases the motor from the frame, and that's not what you want. So make sure that you don't unscrew those. Instead, look to the front and rear of the speaker grill. There'll be some little tabs to where you can just pop off those pieces of the speaker grill. It might take a couple of tries the first time you do this, but be careful when you do, because they're easily to break. For me, I took a small screwdriver and just inserted it under one of the plastic tabs and slightly lifted it up. That was just enough to release it from the tab. This was super nerve-wracking, so just be careful and proceed with caution. With the speaker grill cover off, I inspected the housing and learned that it required a round speaker. In fact, it required a Sountraxx 28mm speaker, which was what it was designed for. However, my Digitrax sound decoder came with a square speaker that I initially thought I could fit into that round space, but it was just slightly too tall to fit there. So I ended up going to my local hobby shop. After I made it home from the hobby shop, I began to install my 28mm speaker. I noticed that my square Digitrax speaker was connected to my wiring harness by 2 pins. I took a screwdriver and stuck it under one of the tabs to lift it up to release the pins. Since the factory speaker did not have enough wire included, I decided to splice the wire to the Digitrax speaker and wire it directly to the 28mm speaker. After slicing the speaker wires, I decided to twist the wires to prevent sound interference. I then fished the speaker wires back through a tiny hole next to the speaker grill. And then basically what that does is when you fish it through the little hole, it pushes it up through the frame next to the motor and to the decoder. I then carefully routed the speaker wires around the motor to the decoder. I took special attention to make sure that the wires weren't rubbing against any of the moving parts. After a bit of maneuvering, I was able to get all the wires to the decoder tucked nicely inside the shell. Now, there's not a lot of room inside the shell, so I did my best, and I was able to successfully get it put back together. Now the only thing left to do is give it a test drive. I took my locomotive and placed it on the tracks. I then turned on my DCC EX system, and immediately I began to hear sounds. I quickly programmed the decoder to the appropriate address. I opened up the throttle in JMRI and quickly gave it some gas. Well, I wouldn't call it gas, maybe gave it some juice, how about that? It then started moving forward graciously, and it sounded wonderful. All of my hard work had finally paid off. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you'd like to see more, please hit that bell and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.